Good morning and welcome to Coffee with Alain. Going to give you a little travel safety tip this morning. That's the theme of today's show. Drinking out of a University of Pennsylvania mug, a place we enjoy traveling to now that my daughter's going to school there. That was actually the first time I ever went to Philadelphia, is when she got into the University of Pennsylvania there. Got to go down and see the Rocky statue in front of the museum. Told her there were cheaper ways for me to have seen the Rocky statue. But fantastic that she's at school there. That's a fun place to travel. We didn't get to go this year like we planned because of the cancer, but looking forward to our next trip there. Definitely be going again a time or two while she's still there. Hope that you enjoy traveling. That's why we're going to give a little travel tip today. And this comes from, a book I was reading and working on, 101 additional self-defense and safety and self-defense tips. And I have two books out there, 101 safety and self-defense tips, 101 more safety and self-defense tips. Third one is going to be 101 additional safety and self-defense tips. Pretty original titles there, right? But, it's a series. And these books are Kindle only. Get them on Amazon. And the tips are from 101 different books and authors, letting you get a little tip on staying safe or defending yourself or survival, but also giving you a list of books that you might want to check out and incorporate into your safety self-defense library to learn even more from those authors. The first two are on Amazon right now. You can get the link through enjoylifesafely.com, the page of my books and DVDs. You can click and go to Amazon, get that Kindle, or just search 101 safety self-defense tips or my name at Amazon. It'll come up. But the third one will be available soon. And I was doing a lesson from this for that book, and I was looking at some travel tips, safety tips. And one very easy one to implement, and I see a lot of people that don't, keep your shoes on during takeoff and put them back on if you do take them off before landing. I personally prefer to keep them on the entire flight. But I know some people, especially long flights, overseas flights, I go on those too, like to take their shoes off and relax a little bit. And that's okay when you're up in the air flying. The most dangerous time and where most incidents occur, takeoffs and landings. So don't take your shoes off the minute you get comfortable. Make sure you got your phone and your passport and those things on your possession. Keep your shoes on. If something were to happen on takeoff and you have to exit that plane, it's going to be much easier with your shoes than barefoot. It's going to be important that you have your phone and those important things with you, because you're going to leave your carry-on bags behind. You're going to get off that plane immediately, because the most dangerous situation in most of those is if there's a fire, it's the smoke inhalation. Smoke gets you before the fire does. And that's why we got to get off that plane as quickly as possible. And we want our shoes on, want our passport, phone, and important things on our body. When it's getting time to land, don't wait till you land in that, time where they're taxiing to put your shoes back on. Put your shoes back on up in the air. And again, make sure you have your important stuff with you. Don't have the phone or your important stuff tucked in the seat. Go ahead and take that out and put it in your pocket and have it on. If something were to happen during the landing, you got your stuff, you can exit the plane. And this just happened in Vegas the other day. If you saw the news, the Frontier flight that had the emergency landing in Vegas, and the fire was, the plane was all on fire, and apparently there was smoke in the cockpit and stuff prior, and they lost communication with that plane and so forth. I mean, these things do happen. Not a lot. Not trying to scare people and say don't fly. I fly all the time. But just in case, know where the exits are. Keep your shoes on, have the important things on, especially during takeoff and landing, the times where it's most likely to have an incident if there's going to be one. Want to say good morning to Dixon. Dixon says, hopefully there's no repeats amongst all 303 tips. There's not. I was very careful about making sure that the tips are unique and different. Now, you may see the same author in the books. However, it'd be a different tip from that author. And some of the books have tips and authors that are not in the other two. So they're unique in certain aspects, and all tips are going to be different. And actually, there's even going to be more than 303 because the third book is the final book of the series. I put some bonus tips. Right now, there's 5 bonus tips. I may just stop there. And so it'll be 106 tips in that book, even though it's called 101. Maybe I'll put another 1 or 2, but probably going to stop with just 5 bonus tips. So there'll be 308 tips, and none of them are repeated. And some of the tips are quite long. It's not just a sentence tip. It's a paragraph or 2 or a page or 2, depending on what the lesson that author was trying to convey. Didn't want to cut it off short. Wanted to make sure you got that full lesson. So, they're pretty substantial tips. But if you want more in-depth stuff, you got to go get the original book by that author. And that's why it's just a great reference of good self-defense, survival, safety books that are out there too. Dixon also said, if shoeless, put them back on if experiencing heavy turbulence. Exactly. I mean, anything, I don't like to take my shoes off, period, because just in case something were to happen. But if people have their shoes off, heavy turbulence, or when you're about to land, if you want to make sure you have your shoes on prior to that approach and landing, because those are the times where things could go bad. Turbulence has never brought down a plane, even though it can be very scary. But other things happen, just like it did in Vegas. And I haven't read the cause of that emergency landing. I saw the videos with all the fire coming off the plane and so forth, and saw an interview with a couple that were pretty scared and shaken up, but it's rightfully so. That would be a scary thing to do. So just one little safety tip. There's more, but one I wanted to talk about today is keeping your shoes on during takeoff and during landings, especially when you're traveling. Thank you, Dixon, for being here. Appreciate that. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate all of you that watch replays, listen to the podcast. Go to enjoylifesafely.com. Make sure you get on that newsletter list of books, including the first 2 101 tips. Now, if you want to know a little bit what the 101 tip books are like, download the free 25 safety and self-defense tips at enjoylifesafely.com. Those are an excerpt from the first book. So those are a repeat because that 25 tips are out of the first book. And if you like those free 25 tips, then get the full book and get the second book, get the third book when it comes out. A lot of good information to help you stay safe and defend yourself if you have to. So you can go there right now and do that. And then make it a tremendous Tuesday, and I'll see you tomorrow.